Hey, this is Bill for Sparky Channel, and today I'd like to introduce you to the Jokari round cable stripping system. And what this tool does is it strips the sheathing off of round cables. So this particular hook on here will strip between 8 and 28 millimeters. That's about 3/8 of an inch, all the way to about 1.1 inches. That's what this hook will do. Now this tool takes a number of different hooks. You just press this button right here and the hook comes right out. So you can get different size hooks. For instance, you can buy a smaller hook which does 4 millimeters to 16 millimeters, and that would be 1/8 of an inch to about 5/8 of an inch. And then you have this one which is 8 to 28 millimeters, and then they have one 27 millimeters to 35 millimeters, which is for cables from 1 inch to about 1.4 inches. Then they have one for 35 millimeters to 50 millimeters, which is about 1.4 inches to 2 inches. So we're getting pretty big now. 2-inch cable, that's pretty big. And then you can get an even larger one for cables 50 millimeters to 70 millimeters, which is 2 inches to 2 3/4 inches. So this tool with the right hook can actually strip the sheathing from round cable between 1/8 of an inch all the way to 2 3/4 inches. Because these are interchangeable, there's quite a variety of cables that it can strip. The hook that holds your round cable in place is spring-loaded, and you see the little razor there. It is adjustable with this dial right here. It has a plus and a minus. I'm adjusting the razor down right now. The razor actually rotates as you move it up or down. And a hole is provided in the hook so that you can see the razor. Okay, I have some different round cables that I'm going to try this tool out on. This one is 8/3 with ground stranded. So let me start with the 8/3 with ground. You need to first set your razor so that it will be cutting through about 90% of the sheathing. So put it on here, and what you do, you go around about 3 times. 1, 2, 3. Now I'm going to pull the razor knife towards the end of the cable, and what happens is the razor rotates so that it is slitting the cable for the last inch. Then you just pull it off like that. It slit the sheathing, and voila, there it is. Now let's examine the wire insulation carefully and make sure there's no scores or nicks on the wire insulation. It looks great, and even the paper on the ground wire is not cut. Let's try the 10/3 with ground solid. Here I have the razor set to cut through about 90% of the sheathing. So we'll put it right here, and we'll go around 3 times. 1, 2, 3. And strip it. I don't see any marks at all on the insulation. No nicks at all. It didn't even cut the paper. Okay, now for the 1/0 service entrance cable, I'll just go ahead and cut it. Okay, so let's strip off about 1 inch of this 1/0 service entrance cable. First, we'll set the razor to the depth of about 90% of the sheathing. We'll put this right here and press this down. We'll go 1, 2, 3. And then strip it. Here we go. Let's take it off. There it is. I'm not seeing any nicks at all on the cable. Okay, here's some 6-gauge ground wire. I have the razor depth set. Press it down. 1, 2, 3. Ah, look at that. 8-gauge ground wire, and it is not nicked anyplace. So this is a really nice tool, and there's a whole art to it in getting your razor knife just the right depth out. But this hook's a good size. That's probably why they give it to you. There is a hook stripper on the opposite end of this tool. To use it, you must flip the switch from the lock setting to the unlock setting, and you have to do that each time you want to use the hook stripper. This is what the hook razor looks like. There is a depth adjustment for the hook razor on the back side of the tool. You put it on unlock. You go like that. Okay, that takes off your sheathing that way. This hook knife has a safety spring mechanism, but be very, very careful with it anyway. I think this cable stripper is a very nice and very useful tool. I like how it's able to strip the sheathing from the cable without damaging the insulation of the wires beneath it. And I'm very impressed at how it seems to follow the shape of a cable that isn't quite round. You know, a lot of cables really aren't super round, but this one somehow follows the contour of the sort of round cable and does a good job. It does take practice. You're going to need some practice at setting that razor depth and using it, and it's really going to take some practice with the hook razor. Jokari makes a tool for considerably less money that doesn't have the hook razor. So I'm going to put links in my video description for the version that I showed in the video, and I'll put a link for other versions of the same tool, and I'll put links for all the various sizes of hooks. I think that's another neat thing about the tool. You can get these different hooks to strip the sheathing from all the way from an 1/8 of an inch cable to 2 3/4 inches. Isn't that amazing? I'll also put a link in my video description for the Milwaukee M12 cable cutter, which I was using to cut the larger cables in the video. Thanks. I hope this video was helpful.